Hi, everyone. I'm Sue AnderBois, and I am a founding board member of the local Return and really excited to be here today with Shannon and Shayna, who I'll let introduce themselves.
I am Shannon Brawley. I am the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Nursery and Landscape Association, and I am thrilled to be here as well.
I'm Shayna Cohen. I'm a senior consultant with the food systems consultancy, Karen Karp and Partners. And I too am thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much being here. I would love if we could start, if you could talk a little bit about the Nursery and Landscape Association, but particularly about the job training apprenticeship program that the two of you have been working on together.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. I could talk for hours, but I won't do that. The Rhode Island Nursery and Landscape Association is a trade association that advocates on behalf of the $2.5 billion industry, plant-based industry here in the state of Rhode Island. So it's really any business that's in the production and service supply chain, landscape architecture to landscape construction, nursery growing, food growing, fine gardening. We really are this umbrella for this magnificent industry. And we came to Growing Futures career programming because the biggest issue facing our industry is the lack of individuals coming into the industry. And we have such an increasing demand for our services, for our products, as we sort of navigate climate change, as we navigate issues around food security, protecting our farmland, all of these things are tied to our industry. We're literally the first responders. We are the people out there that the public calls when a tree goes down or a storm event happens, or how do we catch stormwater on a site so it filtrates through, what is green infrastructure? So we really are a part of what I would call the future and how we're going to navigate some of the biggest issues facing our coastal community, and our industry is a part of that. We're part of, answering the call, right? And so because of our need to really tell the story of the meaningful jobs that the industry, and actually living wage jobs and the careers that industry has to offer. We received investment from Real Jobs and Back to Work and actually other grantors investing in our programming, believing in what we're doing. So it really allowed us to take an ecosystem approach. We really looked at this whole ecosystem of where are people going to come from? What are the businesses and what do they need? What are the skills? What are the knowledge? What are the training programs out there? What's happening at the universities? What's happening on the policy level? So all of these things, all of this system was influencing and how we sort of mapped out how we were going to approach this work. And so we pulled together businesses to really help us to begin to define we started there, to define what the skills are. Would they be interested in registered apprenticeship, this learn while you earn model? And so it's taken off from there. It's like really had a life of its own, and a magnificent one. I think we're really privileged to be in the epicenter of trying to figure this all out. But we developed the first in the country multi-employer registered apprenticeship program, a Growing Futures Career Catalyst, which is we are partnering with the Department of Environmental Management, DLT, and we're getting out on public land and sort of looking at how we can support them in protecting the land, like managing the land, helping them manage the land. And what am I missing, Shayna?
There's so much to it. We've really set up kind of a suite of programs that are meant to help either incumbent workers in the industry who have a job but don't see a career path grow towards a career. We've created programming that creates a pipeline into the industry for people who have, maybe are not in the industry ever and have never considered it as a viable option, but who, when presented with the right information and the right kinds of stories and the right kinds of visualized opportunities see themselves in this industry. They see opportunity, they see meaning for themselves, and they see a way for themselves to be part of something that they care about and something that they might be good at. So we've worked really hard to do that. And on the business side, one of the things that's been really, really special about it too, Shannon mentioned bringing the businesses together to create this program. The nature of it being a multi-employer program, it's really created a tremendously valuable pre-competitive space for small and mid-scale businesses and even large businesses in Rhode Island who are coming together to solve problems that are bigger than any one of them, like workforce. And that has been a cultural shift, or a cultural enhancement, I should say, to, in the industry, that they have this space to come together, to talk, to think about the context that they work in and how to improve that context so that all ships rise.
Yeah, I think that the beauty of this is really workforce development really works with economic development, small business, like we've been privileged because we really are getting in the weeds with small businesses, but we also have companies that are global, but very locally based as well. And so we're recognizing that without a good workforce or a skilled workforce, they can't grow as a business. They can't respond to these big issues. And we've seen this in COVID, right? Like the demand has, outpaced what, we don't have enough labor coming into these businesses to respond to people wanting to have a backyard that matter, that they can enjoy and sit in and escape the realities of the world, right? But also to Shayna's point, that safe place that we've created for exchange to really discuss some hard issues. What is a living wage? What is implicit bias? What is a healthy culture for a company? So we really have created a space that sort of peels away on the surface. You're like, oh yeah, we want to get people into jobs. But what it's done is we've started to really get into the weeds of understanding so many different issues that get raised, like social services. How do you support people? How do you navigate unemployment insurance? So it's really, really, I think a really important role that RINLA is playing for our industry and for just human beings, right? Helping them to find a job that they can love and grow and support their families, that kind of thing.
This is awesome. It sounds like you've talked through a lot of how the model works and also a lot of the really amazing benefits and maybe surprising benefits of the program. Looking back, I know you're still in the thick of it, but like looking back, are there things that you're like, oh shoot, would have done that differently? Or like, oh, like any things you've looked back on that you would change in hindsight?
No, because I don't know about you, Shayna, but I feel like we kind of approached it where we knew this was sort of like a startup situation, and we had the permission from our funder, which is rare, from our funder that said, you know what, if something on the ground isn't working, let's shift, let's figure out how to make it work, And so I feel like we had to start somewhere. I think we started in the right place in understanding what businesses needed, because we needed a place to send them to. We believed in the registered apprenticeship model. Not every company is going to take on registered apprenticeship, but for me, the value of it was to help a company say, this is how you're going to grow within my company, and this is what I can offer you. This is how I'm investing in you. And even if it's only for 5 years or 10 years, at least it's elevating the industry standards, but I don't know if I would change anything. Would you, Shayna? Like
we've changed so many things along the way that it's hard to look back now. It's like we're in constant change.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's been so gratifying about this program. Like we introduced it as sort of a portfolio or suite of programs. It didn't start as that, right? It started as one program, and then we built all these different pieces around it as we realized all of the different kinds of supports and other pieces that we needed to build in order to make this work. You know, we knew that in order to make a registered apprenticeship work, there was all the support we were going to have to provide for companies, for people, for the pipeline. There was a whole ecosystem of organizations and supports and resources that we were going to have to cultivate in strategic balance in order to make anything work. And so all along the way, we've been tweaking and tinkering to try to strike that balance. And it's a constant flow that we're still in the thick of. So it's a change-oriented venture.
Yeah, and I think that served us well, actually, during the COVID, situation. It called upon us to do that. We had a responsibility to actually shift and change to meet the demands of people needing work, and so I think because we were so flexible and we could do that, I think also one of the things that really surprised me the most sort of out of this work was getting to know what people are looking for in a job, like young people, they really do want meaning and they really want to make a difference. And money or wealth, so to speak, isn't everything. It's a piece of it, but for some, but it's also for others, they actually want to feed people or so for me, that has been a surprising a surprising thing in a positive way. It really gives me hope,
Yeah.
Right.
Shayna, were there things about the process or learnings that surprised you?
That's a really good question. Honestly, one of the biggest surprises to me was when we came into this work, as Shannon said, the key need was we need people to come into this industry, right? We have a business succession problem. We have a workforce problem. We need people in, and realizing how much we had to build. You can't just bring people in, right? You can't just go and start to recruit people. You have to create a place for them to enter, and you have to create a place for them to grow too.
Right.
And so the amount of planning and building of various levels of opportunity for people before you even have those people, so that they see the place clearly, they see their opportunity, they see, oh, this is a job, and within that job, I could enter this registered apprenticeship program, and then I could achieve this credential. And once I have that credential, then if I like that piece, I can go into this more specialized piece, and or I could become an entrepreneur, I could become a business owner, but all of that has to not just be articulated, but in some cases built,
yes,
before the people can come in. And so that was for me a really interesting piece. I had imagined when in the first conversation I ever had with Shannon, I thought, we're going to get people into the industry. We'll start by building the pipeline organization, but it was like, no, you have to start by building the registered apprenticeship program. And then once that's hopping, you can find the people to flow into it.
Yeah. And I think
it's really been like the program has all developed. It is also place specific. This is all of the work that we have built is so specific to Rhode Island. It is so rooted in the culture of agriculture in Rhode Island, and the diversity of this small state, and the diversity that a small state requires of industry, the diversification of business. And so how do you build a program that prepares people to enter a business that has, a small business with 20 employees with 5 different service divisions that are totally different from each other? Right. And so building to serve a diversified but integrated set of industries has been a really surprising and exciting challenge.
I agree with you on that. I think that's why our industry survives, right? The ebb and flow of, economies or COVID, you because of that diversification. And I think also, Shayna, to your point too, we need to grow people who steward our place, understand the science of, no longer can we not recognize the science, the environmental science associated with our businesses as well. So there is those skills had to be articulated as well, and really looking to the future. Like as an association, we had to sort of look, okay, what's coming down the pike, how are we going to make sure that that we're ready, that we have an industry that's ready, and so anyway.
Kind of to that point of an industry that's ready and next steps, like can you guys talk about an example or two of some specific impacts you've seen, maybe a person who's participated or a local company who's really benefited, someone who's participated in the program?
Yeah, so I think, wow, what do you think, Shayna? I think that the most touching thing for me, I mean, we have so many individuals that have participated, but our career catalyst, we were bringing people in who had been displaced. The majority of women were women, people of color, coming into this career catalyst program that we were developing, or that we developed with DEM, and the crew leaders that were also helping oversee these young people. Many of them were our registered apprentices. So they were actually teaching and guiding individuals on the trails, and sort of coaching people about, and actually telling them about the different types of opportunities. So that to me was super gratifying. And then finding jobs, one young woman found a job. She was displaced out of, and we have testimonials around that. She was displaced out of research in Boston. And she used this as an opportunity to change her career and feel more stable. And so she was placed into, I believe, a fine gardening company of women. So she got a women supported team. We had a number of people who were actually homeless. So we were able to get them into a job where with a tree company where they could grow within that company, and it pays very well from the get, they all pay pretty or well starting salaries, but that in tree companies in particular are a really great way to grow, and the need is enormous. Shayna, do you have any?
We just, after that 4-week program where people learned online and they went out to DEM and they worked with their hands on the trails and felt what it felt like to use their bodies all day. And then on a second day, what does it feel like to work the second consecutive day with your body and do the hard physical work on public lands and understand what that means to manage an ecosystem and manage an environmental space. We got these almost like love letters from people after the program. We did a speed dating style job fair where we introduced them to tons of employers. They all had this, and we got these letters from employers that were like, in 10 years of human resources, I have never had an experience like this. We got letters from people who landed jobs, like, who said 2 months ago, I had never considered this as a career. And now I feel I just went to my 3rd day of work at my new job, and I feel it's my dream job. It's like my dream job. And those kinds of notes that we got from both sides, feeling like we were serving both sides well, like those are good examples of how both sides felt well served. We were bringing people in, showing them potential, instilling, finding where their passion was, linking it to what we had to offer, and then putting them in front of employers who were like, I want these people with this hunger and this passion.
It made me want to cry, because it was just like, oh my God, like really, like, yeah.
And the other really
it was just beautiful. What?
The other really important impact that was really meaningful to me was the impact we were able to have with DEM and the service we were able to provide to the Department of Environmental Management, and contributing to the management of Arcadia. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I
remember those numbers, because it was so amazing. Like, we contributed over $100,000 in labor
in 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks, or 8 weeks, because it was 2 sessions. Of over 18 miles of trail and roads cleared and taken care of, over 5,000 man hours, 80% job placement, So that's the kind of impact we had. And I think because DEM, our public lands, I mean, really right now, because of pests and disease, we have 45,000 acres of forested area that is dying, is dead. And so while we want to focus, of course, we want to focus on infrastructure, the traditional idea of infrastructure, the gray, our schools. We also have some issues that could potentially cause some serious harm to the state if they're not cared for. And I think the model that we're utilizing is one that's worthy of investment and worthy to continue to look at and maybe build further. And so because they have such an enormous need. And I think Arcadia is one place. I think, there's the Narragansett Bay Reserve that also needs support as well. Anyway, I think we're doing a good service to Rhode Islanders. I mean, we were using our public spaces. I mean, we learned how valuable they were during this last year and a half, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
It was just thrilling to be able to provide something that we were getting direct feedback was, people talk a lot about public and private partnerships, and that we were able to get the kind of feedback that we were really doing something that mattered to a public agency, to private industry leaders, and to individuals who are just entering into a new opportunity, and that they felt well served by the body of things that those three disparate kinds of people and entities felt well served by what we were doing was extremely gratifying.
Yeah, it was very gratifying. I mean, we have stories like that all along the way, but that in particular was just like, oh my gosh, and then also to have we learned how, you look at the system and you really know that some of it is broken. And, but I think that Rhode Island on many levels was, called to do the work and, provide social service, opportunities for people. And they really did sort of rise to that occasion, but we really do need to look at that much further about how we care for people who have been displaced from their homes and, how they get food, things like that. So.
Yeah, that's so important. And I love how much this is kind of like a win-win-win of like individual people and empowering them, but also like the partnership with the state and locally owned and local and non-local businesses. And it just seems like such a Rhode Island specific investments. This is amazing.
And I think that our forests abut Massachusetts, they abut Connecticut. This could be something that is a regional thing. It's not, there's an opportunity here. So.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move us into our lightning round before we lose Shayna. So I'm going to say a few things. You're going to tell me the first things that pop into your mind. So what's the first word or phrase that comes into your mind when I say the word local?
Buy local. I know everyone says that. Buy local.
Shayna, how about you?
Place, home.
Oh, I love that. First word or phrase that comes to mind when I say wealth.
I think when I hear wealth, I think of Rhode Island's diversity of people who are our neighbors and the diversity of environments we live in, and that we're privileged to care for and live in and be near to. And I really feel like we're super lucky.
That's awesome.
To me, wealth, I visualize just abundance across abundance of joyful emotion, abundance of food, abundance of safety, abundance of whatever is needed. So maybe another word would be enough.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What does community mean to you?
I think community for me is all about being in relationship. And relationship with my neighbors. I think it's like community wealth building. You know, it's about equality and equity, ecological sustainability. I really feel like it's a mixture of all of those things. It's deep.
Yeah.
Flash, but it's really about being in relationship.
Yeah, that's similar to what the first thing that popped into my mind was just knowing who you can depend on and knowing who depends on you.
Oh, I love that too.
And what
Yeah.
depends on you.
Yeah, definitely.
If you can share this without going astray with any of your members, what's your favorite or your go-to local business?
Oh gosh, like this is super hard. I have two. So right now I love the Farmer's Daughter. Sorry, everybody, but that's like my go-to place. I love everyone there. I love the plants, the experience, but the other thing that I'm loving, right, like I that it feeds into my community as well, is I am a part of with a group of women friends of mine. We buy from Rhode Island Farm Fresh, and we buy our food there, and we come together and pick it up together. So that I would say has become my go-to for some good food.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
I'm one of those women, and the first thing that it was the first thing this year when Farm Fresh Rhode Island's Market Mobile started doing home delivery. I was able to the shift in how my sort of local food spend went. I have been working and supporting local food systems and regional food systems for 25 years. Was able to up my local food spend by like orders of magnitude.
Yes.
And with friends, in community, bringing people together to order through Farm Fresh every week since last April has given me access to dozens and hundreds of businesses that I was never able to engage with. So my go-to business right now is Farm Fresh Market Mobile. They're the ones I'm deep gratitude to this year.
Yeah, definitely. And also we actually have been tying into the Ocean State Shellfish Cooperative as well. So it's like, we are like so blessed. That is, talk about abundance and wealth. That's it.
I'll end with what is a favorite local investment opportunity that you see? So a program or a project that you would love to see get more funding or get further invested in here in Rhode Island.
Oh, geez. I would
say
be
more than one.
So I'd be selfish. I'm being selfish because I really would love to see more investment in our Growing Futures career, our workforce programming, and especially as we start to navigate into succession planning. Because I think the investment that I'd love to see more of is how we pass on not only farms, but other types of businesses that are successful, that really could provide opportunity for so many different kinds of people. So that kind of investment for me is really important. And I don't have a specific thing, but I think we're gonna, as a program, we're gonna start to begin to address that in this coming year. Shayna, how about you?
Shayna?
If I could drive investment to anything right now, it would be investing in farmers, the ecosystem services that farmers and land managers provide in order to provide a diversified revenue base to keep those working lands viable.
Yes.
That is what I want to see.
And keeping Rhode Island, like who we, that's why we love it here. That's why people want to relocate here. It's Rhode Island.
And last but not least, where can people go to learn more about RINLA and your job training program?
They can go to growingfuturesri.org.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much. This has been such a delight to spend time with you. Thank you so much for all the amazing work you're doing.